And we are live. It's another Wednesday. It's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday night. A little special episode. Last week we finished our uh basically I guess it was the NFC North preview, and then we've like
Mhm.
kind of did our playoff fields. Uh this week we're gonna dive in specifically who are the four teams that we have making the conference championships, the teams we have making the Super Bowl, and then we'll give like our MVP, offensive, defensive player of the year, and rookie of the year picks. So Neil, I'm gonna flip a coin here, an imaginary coin because I can't find a quarter. Um, Heads or tails?
Let's go tails never fails.
All right, tails is the AFC, so we'll start there. Uh, who are I guess the question I have is who do you have making the AFC Championship? Like, who are your two top teams? Best fit for a playoff run.
Well, as many good teams as are in the AFC, I think we even kind of mentioned this through our AFC, our four AFC divisions. There was two teams that we kind of pinpointed as they were far and away above the rest.
Yep.
It's a lazy pick potentially, but I have the Chiefs. Of course, only having to win one playoff game at home. I have them beating the Bengals, and I have the Ravens beating the Texans in the divisional round. So it's going to be KC and Baltimore again in the
Oh, very
AFC
exciting.
title.
Very exciting pick.
Yeah, very super exciting. But this time, it's an Arrowhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna go a little bold here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go the Chiefs hosting the AFC Championship. Now I have kind
I
of
have a feeling I know who you're going to pick, but let's see.
you think I'm gonna go crazy on this one?
Kind of, because I was kind of considering giving this team a playoff win. But let's see if you're going to say
I have
who.
this team winning 2 road playoff games.
Okay, so now I think I really know who you're going with.
Okay, who do you think I'm going with?
Jimmy Harbaugh's LA Chargers.
Yes, you got it. Like I thought about this. So I'm going based off of history, by the way. So the last time I really wanted to pick the Chargers to win
He's
the
only
division.
ever been to the conference title game to play.
Exactly. If there's someone that can match Andy Reid in the AFC, it's Jimmy Harbaugh. And guess what? He and the Chargers are going to win the AFC. I'm going crazy bold.
Oh
I,
my God.
yeah. And I'm just kidding. Yeah, I got the Chiefs. I do have the Chargers getting to the AFC Championship, but the Chiefs to me are such a well-built team defensively. Best player in the sport still there. On paper, you just can't pick against them. But I like ball.
What do you think about a Jim Harbaugh team makes them? That would mean he would be John, right?
Yeah. What I like about a Jim Harbaugh team is, like, in my opinion, the Chargers actually have plenty of talent offensively. Like I get they got rid of Keenan Allen and Mike
Who
Williams.
weren't going to fit their system really anymore, anyways.
I like what they've done on their offensive line, even before Harbaugh got there. Even back when Tom Telesco was drafting, like Rashawn Slater, I really like the way they've built that line. But I love them up front. I like Herbert as a quarterback. I think he can do enough in the passing game with what they have. But they're going to be a run-centric team. But to me, the way I envision them really is they're a team I think that can go on the road specifically and win. And they have the quarterback play that I think can overcome maybe some younger weapons. Like, I'm not super impressed by like Lad McConkey and Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston. I'm not.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I never like last year, like the best teams in the sport, especially on the AFC side, like Baltimore and Kansas City weren't like super explosive offenses anyway.
No, they weren't.
And to me, there's something about Harbaugh's identity as a coach where I think over the course of a season, that mentality that he always had with the 49ers, I think like plays really well. I think the bigger question about Harbaugh in LA is not how quickly can he get them up and running. I see them as like a 10-win type team that makes noise in the playoffs. Like I don't have them winning the AFC West. But I think like once you get to January, and I didn't want to just go Baltimore, right? Baltimore would be the easy pick, like you mentioned. But I wanted to go a little bit out of the box. But I think they would beat a team like Jacksonville on the road. Like, and that'd be the type of
in that
Houston.
scenario, I think they would probably beat Jacksonville.
Like Jacksonville,
revenge on Jacksonville from 2 years ago.
Yeah, Jacksonville, Houston. I mean, Buffalo and Miami. I don't think they're like. I think the Chargers can hang with them. And I think you're gonna see a difference in LA based off of the coaching difference between probably the worst head coach in the sport outside of Frank Reich last year, Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Harbaugh is going to be a top 5 coach in terms of like wins above, I guess, replacement level coach.
Yeah.
I know I think people are underestimating how powerful he is, and you have to go based off of history. The 2011 through the 2014 49ers, like I'd argue, they were really the most successful team in football outside of the Seahawks over the course of that time period. And they failed to win a Super Bowl, but they got to one, and they went to 3 straight NFC title games. Yeah. There's only been one season in Harbaugh's NFL career where he didn't make a title game. That was 2014. And that was his last season in the NFL. I think the question I have more with Harbaugh is like long term, can his coaching style stay relevant with the Chargers? But I think like in terms of direct impact on a team, like I am never going to pick against Jim Harbaugh.
This is also the second most talented quarterback he's ever had.
Exactly. I think, because I mean, it's not like Justin Herbert's a scrub. I get like there's not a ton to be excited about. Like I mentioned, when Ladd McConkey is probably your most talented wide receiver, that's not great. Quentin Johnston has some talent, but like, can he catch the ball? I get some people's reservations, but I think they have the pieces defensively. They brought pretty much everybody back. They didn't cut Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa still on the team. Like I like what they've done on defense. It's mostly in the offensive line. I think they're a team built for January, and I think if they make the tournament, they're a team that I think makes noise. But I still have Kansas City.
Unfortunately, in a game like that, you would almost feel like Kansas City could kind of roll them just based on like the talent discrepancy. But it would be awesome to see Harbaugh get the Chargers there. It would be really cool.
Yeah, I like what I think too. The playoff format now is going to really lean into is like the edge a 1 seed gets, and I think I had Kansas City getting the 1 seed. So that's such a huge advantage because you get the bye, you get home field, of course, which is always valuable. But the key thing is like the 2 seed has to play in the wild card weekend.
Yeah.
And that to me, I think is going to play like an extended playoff field. I think plays better to more physical teams, especially because now there's an additional game. The teams that really can lay the wood, like kind of play. It sounds like such a meatball for saying this, but like play with better pad level, better tackling teams, the fundamental teams. Like the better coach teams show up in January, and like Harbaugh is one of the coaches I have full confidence in, and like so that's why I don't think they're going to be the best team in football, but like they're going to make that like 2009 Jets type of run. And that's my bold prediction.
Or even 2011 Chargers type run, or not Chargers, 49ers.
Yeah,
just like Jim.
That team was a 2 seed.
That was a 2 seed. Yes.
Yeah. They also
weren't competing with the Seahawks that time. Like that was just before the Seahawks became who they became as the LOB.
The 2013 Niners would actually be a great comparison because they were a 5 seed.
Yes.
Yep. So and I feel like the Chargers are going to be like that, like high wild card seed, like a 5 or 6. So I think like the key is like, do I think they can beat Baltimore? In Baltimore, absolutely. I think that
would be a fun playoff game.
Yeah. So I'm going bold a little bit. Like on paper, Baltimore should win that game, but part of me, I just think Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers should be everybody's dark horse in the AFC.
But at the same time, outside of the Texans game last year, Lamar hasn't been a good playoff quarterback either.
No.
You know, he struggled. I know his rookie year, ironically, also against the Chargers, that was his rookie year, but 2019 was a really bad playoff game. 2020 was the COVID year.
Yeah.
And they did win in Tennessee, but you know, Tennessee they were always playing above what they should have been, you know. Under
my other dark horse team in the AFC, because really it's the Chiefs and Invitational. That's really what the AFC is.
Who's the sacrificial lamb?
Yeah. My other dark horse in the AFC would be Jacksonville, though. And that's pretty reliant on where's Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Like in the development arc, right? Like, because I've made a lot of cases for why Trevor Lawrence is a very underrated player. Generational talent, like, and people throw the word generational around a lot, but he is the best quarterback prospect we've had since Andrew Luck.
Luck, yeah.
Yeah, like, so every 10 years, like, there's this top-end quarterback. I think Trevor Lawrence, I think he was a better prospect than even Caleb Williams was this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how high Trevor Lawrence was, in my opinion.
Yeah.
His career has started a little, like, you know, first year was horrible, but, like, bumpy, you know, good year 2, kind of bumpy year 3, right? But I think there's also people can consider there might be a Peyton Manning level, like, kind of career arc for him.
Yeah, ascension.
And if that year 4 ascension happens, like, we could see then him hit a level, and like that's the other team in the AFC. But I could see Jacksonville either making the Super Bowl or like missing the playoffs. Like, there's a big in between there, and that's really
you just kind of have to avoid Kansas City in the divisional round. I know, like, playing them in the championship game in Arrowhead isn't all great either, but I mean.
Yeah. If you're a division winner,
Cincinnati beat them, and they nearly beat them again. So
if you're a division winner, you definitely want to be the 2 or the 3.
Yes,
definitely the 2, because you get the divisional game. If you win the wild card, you get a home game. But the key thing is you're avoiding Kansas City until the very end, because you're probably going to end up having to play them.
You don't want to have Kansas City and then another 60 minutes to go before the Super Bowl.
My main talking point, though, for the AFC and why I think Kansas City's, I give them like a 75% chance, honestly, making it back. I'm not actually like I think it's a very overrated conference. I have a lot of questions about most of the teams. Like Kansas City's, like, to me, like the complete team. I like their quarterback. I like their weapons. I like their lines. Their defense is obviously fantastic. Mm-hmm. They have the best coach in the NFL. Kind of the most flawless situation in the league, like maybe outside of San Francisco. But they have the quarterback that's by far and away the best player. But if you look around the AFC, like outside of that, you know, in the South, I still have questions. Like, you know, Houston's getting a lot of love, but a lot harder schedule this year, and
very difficult schedule.
They still won 10 games last year. And they won a division that basically fell apart on them. Yes, like Jacksonville should have had that division wrapped up. Yeah, pretty easily, and they kind of backed into a division title. They should still be pretty good, but I have them missing the playoffs based off their schedule. It's that difficult. Baltimore, you know, we've never seen Lamar have back-to-back seasons like he did last year. And they're going to need that for them to be that high of a level again. Cincinnati, like I said, I have a lot of questions about their roster. Buffalo is going through a transition. They had a lot of turnover defensively.
Yeah, Miami can't win a playoff game.
Yeah, and Miami's like going to look like a Super Bowl team in September, but they have a history of not translating into January. Apart.
Yeah,
like I look around the AFC, it's like a lot of good quarterbacks. Yes. But not great teams outside of Kansas City. And like, to me, what's so interesting about the Chargers specifically is they are one of the few teams that I love the quarterback coach combination. Baltimore also falls into that, but Lamar staying healthy, I think, is really important. Mm-hmm. but like really Baltimore, the Chargers, and maybe Jacksonville if everything goes right for them. Those are the teams. I don't, but it's not as great as everyone's making it out to be.
Yeah.
I think the NFC is actually a more compelling conference this year, which is the first time in a few years we can say that.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, not even that true because we always talk about how the AFC is so interesting and has so many quarterbacks, but it's the same team always winning it. So
Yeah. I know.
Same team's the 1 seed pretty much every year except last year.
And it was the same thing with New England in all those years. Like, well, I guess Peyton was giving Brady his run a few times, and Roethlisberger had a couple years in there. But
are there any?
It was even more competitive in Brady's time.
Yeah. Are there any teams that you think that outside of the ones that I mentioned, like because I have the Chargers, Jacksonville,
well,
kind of being the dark horses? Do you have any dark horses that may be? Maybe we're not thinking enough about as AFC contenders.
The only team, like I was telling you, because I considered giving the Chargers a victory on the road in the playoffs. It was going to be against Houston, but I have Houston beating them. I guess it would be a close game. I do have Cincinnati being Miami in the wild card round.
Yeah, I had Cincinnati missing the playoffs, so like
yes, Cincinnati, I suppose, only for the fact that weird to say about the Cincinnati Bengals in this day and age, considering where they were 5 years ago, but like they actually do have a little bit of playoff metal about them now.
They win games when they go there.
They win games in January now. Like they have 5 wins in the last, I guess you'd say 3 playoffs.
Yeah. That is the charm of Joe Burrow.
Yes, it's but does bleached hair Joe Burrow?
Maybe this is what puts him over the top. Maybe.
But I guess if Cincinnati does win, which I do have them, they would lose to Kansas City in the divisional round. So I don't think. But I also don't think they fear Kansas City at the same time.
My only speculation with the only thing I'm skeptical about with Cincinnati, like Burrow, I believe in. I think he is tremendous quarterback, one of the league's best, and he has, like you mentioned, kind of that swagger in January. My main question is just I don't love the roster that much, and I'm still on the fence with Zach Taylor. I'm always I don't know if I really love him that much as a coach, but he has a record in the playoffs. So maybe I'm overlooking them. But I had him missing the playoffs, so I guess I can't consider them a dark horse just because of where I had him finishing. But yeah, I think that's a good point. Any others in the AFC before we go to the NFC?
No, yeah, that would be it.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, because I think we've covered that pretty good. Anyway, to the NFC, who are your final 2 that you have penciled in?
So Green Bay, if you guys remember, was my 1 seed. So I do have them getting to the NFC Championship.
Oh, it's not gonna happen now.
Yeah, Neil just mushed the Packers.
Thanks.
I have them beating Detroit actually.
So you're going in interdivisional NFC title game?
No, I have them beating Detroit in the divisional round.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yep.
The team that they play in the NFC Championship is the Dallas Cowboys.
You think Dallas is going to get to the NFC title game?
I have Dallas getting to the NFC Championship.
Oh, Is it in the Green Bay is the 1 seed, so it's really the Ice Bowl again.
It's the Ice Bowl all over again. It's 1995 all over again.
Oh, and McCarthy coming to Lambeau for a playoff game.
See, these are some delicious playoffs.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. So I do have Green Bay then winning the NFC. I think at that point, head to head, I would much rather take Green Bay over Dallas, but I do have Dallas beating San Francisco in the divisional round. I didn't want to do, because I have Baltimore in the other AFC title. I didn't want to do 1-2, 1-2.
Do you think if Dallas beats San Francisco, though, they'd have the confidence where they could beat Green Bay as well, to get over 2 of their huge demons?
You can't get over 2 humps in 1 year.
Yeah, because that would be crazy if they'd beat San Francisco and Green Bay and the
And
San
Green
Diego.
Bay, yeah, the two teams that have been their thorn for the last 10
Yeah.
years. No, I don't see them getting over Green Bay. Like I said, you only get over one hump in a year. That's for next year. But even
Okay.
I also think too, like this could be the end of this Dallas team as we know it.
Okay.
You know, I mean, like with Dak, they're talking about him maybe getting 70 million a year next year.
Wow.
And you know, you have the thing with CD. I think they do have enough talent to get there. And like I also at the same time, for like somebody that like, and none of us really like the Cowboys at all, but I've been for years picking them to like kind of break through and get to the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
And so I
They're
feel like it
talented.
does have to have it, and it has to happen at some point. And actually Green Bay would be, I think, talking about teams like feeling like refreshed, and like if Green Bay didn't see San Francisco on the other sideline, like you think about yourself, how confident would you feel going into that NFC Championship if you knew it wasn't the 49ers?
Yeah, I just always think the playoffs are just
January hasn't been fun.
the 49ers will act like, they're so special at owning the Packers, but it's like, I mean, we lost to Tampa too. Like
Yeah.
the Giants, the Cardinals, like you name it. Like we've lost to everyone. Like the Cardinals have beaten us twice since 2008, 2009. I think the Packers' main thing is always coming up short because they're so consistently a top 4 team in the NFC, but like they're never the one, right?
But the other thing with Green Bay, kind of similar to like what Cincinnati had with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
When sometimes, and I don't know, I always think back on this too as a Cubs fan. Like when the 2015, 2016, 2017 Cubs were coming out, especially when they won the World Series in 2016, one of the things they kept saying is this team is so young that they're just kind of dumb. They don't care like what happened in 84 and 89 and 03 and 08. I don't think this Packers team will care. I think they are kind of at the point, like, I think they would go into this playoffs and be like, so what that happened in 2021? Most of those guys aren't here anymore. I don't care what happened in 2020. I feel like this is the year, I think, for Green Bay to say, all right, like, who cares? Like, this is our chance. This is our team. This is a new team. We're a young group. We're going to be here for a while, and this is our first bite at the apple.
Yeah. I think the main issue I have with the Packers, like, I think they're a playoff team. I just don't know if they're like, they are in the division with a very strong team in Detroit. Like, as much as I like joke on Detroit, like, it's one of the best teams in the league, in my opinion.
That would be a hard team to beat in January, even if it is in Lambeau.
And I have Detroit winning the NFC North, not the Packers.
Yes.
But neither team actually are in my my final two.
Okay.
I'm going with another interdivisional conference championship game. I'm going with the 49ers beating the Rams on the road.
Again.
And so fun. I have the Chiefs in the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Oh no. I was thinking 2021 the Rams
beat the 49ers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is a revenge game. I think Stafford and the Rams lose at home to the 49ers. The 49ers, to me,
Brock Purdy breaks the curse.
Yep. So I think the 49ers are the best roster, I think, in the sport. I think they're going to get Ayuk back. I think that's what kind of changed my opinion. I still have the Rams winning the division and being the 1 seed in the NFC.
Last week we're like, oh, Ayuk's definitely getting traded. This week we're like, he's back. Next week we're like, is he going to play football this year?
Yeah, he will. Like, it'll get worked out.
That is so tiring.
My guess is like there's a dispute over like the guaranteed years. That's what it's coming down to. Give it another few days and it'll be done. But it's not like, to me, it sounds like he's going to be back. But what I really like about the Niners is just like you go to every level of their offense and defense. They have talent pretty much everywhere. It's not just the skill positions. It's on the line of scrimmage. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, arguably one of the best coaches in the sport. It's the same argument I have for the Chiefs. Like the only thing I'm not convinced Brock Purdy is like cream of the crop, but he's a very good quarterback.
Mhm.
So I have them winning the NFC, beating the Rams on the road. Teams that I considered as dark horse teams. I wouldn't say they're quote unquote dark horse teams. I did not consider Philly, even though I have them winning the NFC East. I did not
Yeah.
consider them. Dallas, I had missing the playoffs. Green Bay is an interesting one, as well as Detroit, because I like both of those teams' rosters and coaching staffs.
Yeah.
I think Green Bay is what's very interesting to me is I'm starting
You
to
have them
buy
winning
in
a
it.
playoff game,
Uh,
Green Bay?
I
So
didn't
they would
really
play Atlanta in your right?
yeah, I think they could beat Atlanta, but I think they would run into
Would you
probably
go to that game? The last
well,
2 times you've been in Atlanta, especially for a playoff
funny
game.
enough is okay, so I'll give everybody a little bit of a history here. When I go to NFL games, they typically rotate win loss win loss win loss when I go, like for Packers games. So I just saw a loss. So maybe I'm in line for a win.
Oh. The last time I went to a Bears game and they won was 16 years ago.
And I take that back because I went to a game in 19, and then the next game I went to was in 22.
That
So
was the first time I met you that night.
yeah, but in 19 I saw the Packers beat the Raiders, and then in 22 I saw them beat the Dolphins on Christmas. So I saw
Oh, I
back-to-back
forgot you
wins.
were at that game. I was trying to
Yeah.
think, what game were you at that year?
Yeah, I did Christmas Day in 2022, and then last year I did the Falcons game. But maybe Lambeau games shouldn't count.
So, yeah, so we'll just count road games.
Yeah,
Road
because
Packers.
they never lost a game I went to at Lambeau, which is fun, I guess. Because
Wouldn't
if
know
you're
it.
gonna like go all the way there, they better win. Like that would be kind of depressing. They lose the game. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, there goes $1,500.
Yeah. It's a risky proposition to
It
be honest. We see my wife and I we're going to Jacksonville in late October for the Jags game, and we're gonna like do a week at the weekend at
Are the
beach.
Packers playing the Jaguars?
Yeah.
I didn't know
So
that.
we're gonna stay at like a beach resort that weekend, and then we're gonna go to the game on Sunday. And I'm like, though, like if they lose, at least I'm going back to a beach resort.
Yes, that's true.
So I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I even joked, it's like if Love got hurt and we're like 1-8, maybe we just don't go. Like,
Yeah.
maybe we just stay at the beach.
Stay at the beach house. Yeah, sell the tickets.
Yeah, I haven't bought the tickets yet. I'll just buy them day of, probably.
Yeah.
SeatGeek or whatever. But like hey SeatGeek, give us a promo.
Please.
Code. Yeah,
We're
we have
looking
so
for
many
sponsorship.
we have so many viewers. So,
Coca-Cola, I've been waiting for weeks.
Hey Zen. Yeah.
I got one right in now, fellas.
Yeah. It helps me stay focused. But anyway, what was I talking about? But yeah, the teams that I have, like Detroit and Green Bay I considered, but for whatever reason, I just really like the Rams specifically this year. And then I like the 49ers would be like one of the best 5 seeds in recent memory.
Yeah.
And I think to me, it feels like a collision course. It's like going to be McVay.
Imagine how juicy that would be if the 49ers win the NFC Championship at 2:30 Central Time, when the game starts, and Harbaugh is sitting in the locker room in Arrowhead thinking like, man, I might play the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
I have a question too for the NFL now, because this idea popped in my head, and I guess because the Jets have sucked for so long, we've never really thought of it as a possibility. But like, let's say Harbaugh is so good, right? That does what he did first season, and the Chargers host the AFC Championship game, and the Rams host the NFC Championship game. One of those games had to go to Saturday, right?
Wow, yeah, I never
And
Never thought
the
about
Jets, and the Giants never host playoff games because they always go on
Yeah,
the road. So,
yeah,
like, because the New York teams don't host playoff games. That's
yeah.
just, like,
They
the
haven't
rule.
even considered it.
Yeah. Like, I think the last time the Giants or the Jets have won a division was, like, 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah, the Jets last won in '02. That's the
Yeah.
only time they've won since 1983. Oh,
Yeah.
no, they won in '98 too. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
But still,
so
2 division titles in the
yeah,
last
but
40 years.
there's a I mean, if Mahomes ever gets hurt for, like, a month
Yeah,
and the Chargers have a season like we think they're capable, like, I could see that, and the Rams could host an NFC championship, seen it before, so, like, I'm
yeah.
saying, like, that wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, they would love it too, LA
S
hosting both conference championships.
It'll be the year that
Oh, the
SoFi's gonna
script
host the
writers
Super
just
Bowl
heard
too.
us.
It it'll also be the year SoFi hosts the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
so, like, it'll just be, like, just SoFi and, like,
Oh,
NFL
yeah,
Network.
we're gonna play all of them in one weekend here.
Mm, it's the coolest stadium in the league.
We hate SoFi, everybody. I hate
We hate
most of
so
the new stadiums.
Yeah, we hate the new stadiums because they all look the same, okay?
Yeah.
Like, when the Browns came out with, like, their and the Bears and the Titans,
The
they, like,
Bears' new
"Look at
stadium
our."
rendition was literally the Raiders.
It's like we have this glass ceiling, and we have this beautiful, like, view from looking out of the end zone, and it's like,
Yeah.
these are all the
Everybody
same.
else does that too. At
Like,
least,
there's no.
like, when they built all the cookie cutter stadiums in the '70s, they were
Yeah.
drab places, ugly looking. There was a little bit of character with them, you know?
I'll say though, the cookie cutter stadiums, at least when you could you could go to a game back then for like $12. And
Yes.
now, like, you have to spend like a month's salary to go to
And
a game.
the Eagles had a jail in their their stadium.
Yeah. I like the NFL, like, to me, that's what's kind of crazy is the more these teams are doing those, like, the new stadium model where they're inside and they're in a dome and everything's built to host Taylor Swift concerts and Super Bowls. That's what makes Lambeau, like, it's the gap between Lambeau Field and the rest of the NFLs in terms of, like, stadiums, it's just gonna grow
How
because it's
how
like
come Taylor Swift on her Eras tour, she's been on it's the same Eras tour, but this year was part 2 basically.
it's like
She
all the
still did she
international
still didn't
ones.
get Yes, but she still went to, like, Indy, I think. I
It's
think
like
she
the
was
2nd tier,
like,
US cities,
but
yeah.
she still didn't go to Lambeau.
Where would you
Yeah,
yeah.
where would she stay? Appleton? With Aaron Nagler's family.
Yes, queen, she's too good for the Holiday Inn. Like, oh my
To
god.
Wyndham.
Yeah, I'm like, "No, you get free breakfast at."
Yeah.
Are
You
you
gotta be up by 7,
Hey,
but
Taylor. Hey, Taylor, are you too good for the complimentary continental breakfast at the Holiday Inn?
you don't want a little box of Frosted Flakes
You
and an
could
orange
even
juice?
you could put the little apple slices in your oatmeal. It's so good.
It's real nice.
And they got a Keurig now.
And my mom makes a real good pulled pork sandwich for lunch.
Oh my gosh. The Yeah, like, and then they get, like, the little omelets, but they're not really, like, omelets that were made in, like, like, fresh. They're
You
like the
gotta do
ones
them
that.
yourself.
Yeah, they were in a bag, like a little plastic bag, and they just put them in the little steamer thing so they cook up in the bag, and you're like, "Oh, man, fresh omelets.
Yeah.
Mm."
It's a great little meal to have before you have 15 Miller Lights and Lambos or in some guy's front lawn down the street from Lambo.
So I traveled the week of the Delta shutdown, uh, like, where so I had my complimentary breakfast at the hotel I was staying at in El Paso, Texas, and then I get to the airport, and then there's, like, a 7-hour delay. As soon as I get to the airport, but I'm already through TSA and I don't have a hotel to go to. So I just sit there. So I go to the airport bar and spend like $40 for a cheeseburger and a couple beers. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
Robbery.
yeah, and then the flight kept getting pushed back so bad that I'm like I'm gonna have to get a second meal. But the bar had closed because it was like Sunday night.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh crap! Like, oh, you can buy some beef jerky. I literally had beef jerky for dinner, and I'm thinking like, I
The
haven't had
Pioneers ain't better than this.
yeah, and I kept it's like the only thing worse is like airport food.
Oh,
But the complimentary breakfast, it's free. It comes with your
free.
stay.
Comes with
And
your stay.
yeah, but going back to football, of course, because that's what
Yes.
we're supposed to be talking about. I like the Rams a lot more, I think, than consensus this year, and I have them winning the NFC West. But I think the 49ers are actually a better team. I just think that, especially, I think McVay has a lot up his sleeve for the season, but I think overall talent wins out. I'm going to pick the 49ers to get to the Super Bowl. Any thoughts on the NFC? I don't really have any. I don't think Atlanta or anybody out of the South has a chance. I have Arizona's good, but they're not a Super Bowl team. Green Bay and Detroit are interesting, but I don't think they're better than the Rams or the 49ers. Any other thoughts on
the Vikings, maybe?
No.
Oh, too
Well,
soon, Minnesota.
I would argue their win total should go up. Like
Technically, it would.
Their Vegas win total should go up.
Their DPOY projection went up.
Now that we know Darnold's the starter, but like, of course, long term, you wanted McCarthy playing.
Yes, and Darnold has never looked like in his last few stays. It's always been like 3 or 4 good games, and then the bottom falls out. So I heard them saying somebody. Well, I don't know. You can't believe Twitter all the time, but somebody was saying they were looking into Derek Carr. Which please trade from. That would be
what would the Saints give up though? Because like the Saints would be punting their season.
Maybe that would be Mickey Loomis finally saying that.
I do.
No, I also don't believe Mickey Loomis would ever have the guts to do it.
I will say though, I have heard a lot of whispers. Well, not really whispers; they're tweets.
Yeah, we don't have sources.
I'm not an insider. My folks down in New Orleans.
Who's our guy in St. Louis?
Yeah, I've read a lot of stuff on Twitter
Thomas.
that Spencer Rattler has looked really good, and that they're very high on him.
Oh,
so, but still, is that enough? Like, I feel like if I'm the Vikings, did you learn nothing by trading for Sam Bradford?
Yes,
that's what trading for Derek
literally is like 2016 all over again in that way.
Just eat the season. Just
eat
start Darnold, win 5 games.
Yes,
you're gonna get a top 10 pick.
You're gonna get a top 10 pick. Yep.
And you're gonna give what's basically gonna happen is they're gonna give JJ McCarthy's
you go draft the defensive end next year.
They're gonna have a healthy Jordan Addison next year. Like they're gonna have a healthy TJ Hawkins. Like at this point, if I were them, I would just put TJ Hawkinson on the pup list.
Yes, he already is, but he's going to be on IR to start the year.
I would just almost like just play him at the very end of the season, like get him some games, but like get the whole team healthy.
Make sure the guarantees don't kick in. Yeah,
I just want the season get a generational left tackle, or just a player.
They need somebody on defense, but yeah.
But
it's like the Big Cat tweet that he had for like 4 or 5 years in a row when Kevin White would come back. It's like we have 2 first-round picks.
Or you could do what the Bears did, and it's like end up with the number 1 pick and then trade back.
Yeah,
because you already have your quarterback.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think. But yeah, so you have the Chiefs against who?
Green Bay, a rematch of Super Bowl 1.
And I have the rematch of last year's Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Niners.
That's hilarious. The first Super Bowl and the most recent Super Bowl. We both have rematches.
Yeah. Who do you have winning the big game?
It's got to be Kansas City. I was just talking about Green Bay being the young team. Like just watching Kansas City last year and like how dead they looked in December, but when that team hits January and February, they just know how to win. They have the best player maybe of all time right now on their team.
I agree with all of your points. I'm taking the 49ers just because
it's got to happen.
I think this is the year. It's like, and this is the year on paper that it shouldn't happen. That's the point. Is where I think they kind of
Yeah.
struggle a little
Sports
bit in the
do that
regular.
sometimes.
They struggle a little bit in the regular season. People kind of start doubting them. They're not getting home field advantage
Yeah.
like they normally do.
Brock Purdy can't get back to the Super Bowl based on and then he does anyways. And
I think the
where's the
Chiefs,
Super Bowl this year?
New Orleans, I believe. So I think
I love when the Super Bowl's in New Orleans. That's just
it's the best.
right.
It's the best Super Bowl city. But
Yes.
I think in total, I'm just gonna pick the 49ers because I actually do like their roster just as much as the Chiefs, and I'm just I'm one of those guys that like I'm gonna believe a team wins 3 Super Bowls in a row when I see it. And this will be the year I think the Chiefs are the best team in football, but like the best team in football usually never actually wins the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like,
and they have been the best team in football before and not won.
Yeah. So the best Chiefs team we actually have had did not win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the 2020 team.
Yep. So that team should have gone all the way easily.
Mm-hmm. They seemed like a sure, it was a sure thing almost.
And they lost to a wild card team in the Super Bowl. So I kind of see it playing out the same way. And then the Chiefs will go back to the Super Bowl the following year and win. So that's how I have it.
The Bears.
And then Andy Reid will retire at the end of 2025
with his 4 Super Bowls.
Yep.
That'd be nice.
So he'll join Bill Walsh basically.
So next year we're not going to do our playoff or our division predictions, which is
no, actually, no. Excuse me. Andy Reid has as many as Bill Walsh because Bill Walsh has 3, right?
Yes.
And Stevert has 2.
He would tie Chuck Noll, and he would tie Chuck Noll.
Yeah. So he probably won't get to Belichick, but he'll get to Chuck Noll. That's where I think it'll. But I'm taking Shanahan and the Niners this year. So any thoughts? I think we both kind of went over the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
MVP. Who you got?
If the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, if they're going to be in the Super Bowl, if they're going to be the 1 seed, if they're going to be 14-3 according to my predictions, it's hard for me not to say that Patrick Mahomes. And I'll save. I have another little crazy one later, but I won't use any of it now. It's going to be Mahomes to win the MVP. He's the odds-on favorite. Based on the teams that I have that are, in my standings, I guess Jordan Love would be one of the candidates to win MVP. And if it's him
if
and
it goes
Mahomes
the way you
in the
think
Super
it goes,
Bowl, yes, it would be. Everybody would be tuning into the NFL honors to see who's the MVP that night. But I think it would be Mahomes, and I'd say there would be some. There's no way you can predict stats, but that would be a really cool. But the other thing is the MVP hasn't won the Super Bowl. Yeah. And so maybe the Packers fans be like, yeah, take that. You could take your MVP. We'll take Lombardi home.
I think I agree with you. I think Mahomes is going to have his best season since 2018.
I want him to see. I want to see a record year, like a 56 touchdown pass season.
I think
like
people doubted him. I think it's going to be that kind of year. Like, I don't know that many touchdowns, but
that would be awesome.
This is probably the best group of receivers he's had since Tyreek Hill left.
Mm-hmm.
I think Worthy is going to bring some explosive playability, but like I think a lot of people are forgetting the Hollywood Brown edition. Assuming he stays healthy, he's already had some. He has an AC joint issue. Rashee Rice is there, best receiving tight end to ever play football, is still on this team, and as much as people said he had a down year last year, he was still probably the most productive tight end on a per game basis in the NFL last year. So let's not forget Travis Kelce is still. He will stop being elite when I think he quits football. Like I think people just need to stop. Like he's the best tight end of the sport right now, and it's not Laporta, it's Travis Kelce until he gets hurt and his career ends. Right. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Mahomes is the MVP. If I had to pick like other contender, I would say I think Brock Purdy is going to be right up there.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a big year. Stafford.
I was going to say Stafford would probably be up there for you.
I think Stafford's in a big because I like their offense a lot. I think they've added some complementary pieces through the draft. I think that offense is going to be humming all year. I think he's poised for a huge season. Jordan Love makes some sense, but I don't think he's quite there yet as a player. And then Trevor Lawrence is my real dark horse. I think if I have them going 12-5 in that situation, if they're that good, I think Trevor Lawrence is in play. And I think he has all the talent to be that kind of player, but we just have to see it from him.
Yeah.
So those are my kind of choices, but I'm going to agree with you. I think Mahomes is definitely the favorite. Offensive player of the year. So let's go non-quarterback. Who do you think is in line for a big season? Players.
I think even with the contract situation the way that it is right now, I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, you got CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think
that would be terrible.
Yeah. But I think he's going to put up a massive season. I think Detroit will have one of the league's best offenses, and he'll be the driver of it. I'm gonna go St. Brown. Really, it's just, and I think if Tyreek Hill stays healthy the entire year, I think he's the clear favorite. I also think Justin Jefferson's going to put up massive numbers now that he's pretty much
choice.
Yeah, but I think he'll be on a bad teams, and I don't love the Dolphins as much this year. Defensive player of the year, I'm just going to go who I think the best player in the sport is on defense. Who do you think that is?
Do you think it's Micah Parsons?
No. Myles Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he's the best defensive player in the entire sport, so that's who I'm going with. I think Myles Garrett to me seems like a guy that's poised for like another 18 to 22 sack season. I think he's special. I think he's best pass rusher of this age. He's better than everybody, including TJ Watt, for the Steeler fans out there.
I am going to go with, I'm not going to make it two Cowboys here. I'm going to go with Sauce Gardner because I have the Jets as a playoff team. I'm going to go with Sauce Gardner as the defensive player of the year.
That's interesting. I like that. It's always hard for like corners to win it just because they don't like so much of it's dependent on interceptions.
Yeah.
Did Revis ever win it?
I think he did. I think he might have. Maybe in 2010.
Yeah.
Didn't Charles Woodson won
Charles
it?
Won in 09.
Or 09, I should say. I don't know.
Yeah, so Woodson, Palomalu, Suggs, J.J. Watt, Kuechly, J.J. Watt, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, Stephon Gilmore. So Gilmore was the last corner to win it. And then Aaron Donald won it 3 times. J.J. Watt won it 3 times. Myles Garrett won it last year, and I think he's poised to win it again. So that's who I'm going with. I think Myles Garrett's going to start entering the J.J. Watt, like Aaron Donald kind of tier of like all-time defensive players.
Okay.
But T.J. Watson and I think Micah Parsons is interesting. I like Sauce Gardner. And then, of course, Nick Bosa is also in the conversation. And then I'm starting to lose my voice. So I apologize. Defensive or offensive rookie of the year. Who you got?
I have, I mean,
we know who the favorite should be.
The favorite is Caleb Williams. And even based on my prediction, if the Bears do make the playoffs, it'd be hard for the league to pass him up as a, offensive rookie of the year, but
yeah,
just for the sake of it, I'm not going to go with him. This is actually kind of, I don't know if this would count as like a surprise pick or anything like that, but if Mahomes is going to win the MVP, I have Xavier Worthy as the offensive rookie of the year. I think he's going to be a really dynamic player in the Chiefs offense. And if this is going to be Mahomes' best season or one of his best seasons, I think Xavier Worthy is going to put up massive numbers.
That's a hot take just based off of like the receivers that most people consider offensive rookie of the year caliber guys going
Yes.
into this
I
year.
mean, yeah, would you think of the top 3 receivers from the draft? Worthy's not
Dunze,
one of them.
and really the two that are getting real consideration as like favorites early in the year are Harrison and Neighbors, because people don't think a Dunze will like just
Get
be
the
an immediate
numbers.
number one.
Yeah.
Because he's got to compete for targets with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. And DJ Moore is the number one on that team. Like Adunze is not going to supplant him. I think with, the way I look at offensive rookie of the year, like you have to kind of understand, like, what do you think of the quarterbacks? Because like last year's a great example. Puka Nacua broke records. Like he was one of the best receivers in the sport. And he was a rookie. It wasn't just like he should have been in contention for offensive player of the year, not just the rookie of the year. But he still didn't even win the rookie of the year because CJ Stroud had an awesome year as a rookie quarterback. The only times you see receivers or tight ends win the award is when the rookie quarterback class sucks. And I just don't anticipate that because I like Williams and Daniels. I think both of them have the ability to put up numbers as rookies. And I even like Bo Nix as like a guy that I think can overachieve based off of expectations people have for him. Don't think he'll win the award just because I think Williams and Daniels will be probably better than him. In the event that those, let's say all the starting quarterbacks suck, like JJ McCarthy's not going to win it. We obviously know that because he's not playing this year. Penix probably isn't playing this year, so we eliminate him. If we go off the assumption that Nix, Daniels, and Caleb Williams suck, I'm actually going to go Brock Bowers. We're going to have a tight end because, and this is like my hottest take, and I'll put on paper my pick is Caleb Williams. I think he's the best quarterback in the class. I think the Bears are going to achieve, maybe have a chance at a playoff spot, I think realistically. So that's my pick on paper. My non-quarterback pick for this is Brock Bowers because I think he is the best tight end prospect of our lifetime, to be completely honest with you. Like, it's not like people want to say Kyle Pitts, but like Kyle Pitts is just a glorified wide receiver.
Yeah.
This guy is going to be used all over the field. Like he can line up at receiver. He can line him up at fullback, H-back. He can be in line. He is just everywhere. He is so versatile, and he is uniquely gifted after the catch. He's going to be like a little cheat code for the Raiders offense, and I think they're going to rely on him heavily. He's going to be just behind Devontae Adams, like right there in like terms of target share, and total offensive yards produced. I think he's going to have a monster season. Like, think Jeremy Shockey's rookie season. I'm thinking like that level good. That's the player I'm most excited to watch that's not a quarterback in this class. I like Neighbors and Harrison. And I think, those guys make a lot of sense, but I'm kind of going to go out on a limb. Like, that's the guy that I really I think is going to surprise a lot of people and be just freaking awesome this year.
I like that pick. That's a good one.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to pick Jordan Morgan of the Packers. I think he's
I think this is the year a tackle does it.
That we joke. It's like, can we have like an offensive lineman of the year award?
Yeah. I mean, we should.
Like, I don't know how they would determine it, but like there is one for college football. Like, why, if Joe Alt goes out there and doesn't give up a sack like the entire season and gets like a 95 PFF grade, like, why wouldn't he be considered? But he won't. Like, he's just as, if not more important to his team than Malik Neighbors or Adunze or Harrison or I won't say the quarterbacks because they are more important than the linemen. But like,
no, you're right.
Yeah,
but the voters,
they don't watch linemen.
No,
underappreciated.
I wonder who Aaron Schatz, our buddy, thinks. I still think it's. I don't know. I still think it's really cool. We had the one guy who didn't pick Lamar Jackson to win the MVP on our show.
And he was right.
He was right. He was absolutely
Josh Allen
right.
was more valuable than
Lamar Jackson
Lamar
was.
Jackson was.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson had a great season. We're not arguing against that, but Josh Allen basically carried the Bills to the playoffs. Like
Yes.
a kind of a crappy team to the playoffs. Defensive rookie of the year.
That's
It's
always
a
a hard one. I'm gonna go Jared Verse.
Okay.
We talked about the Chargers earlier. They should be back in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Like what Harbaugh's gonna do with them. I have a feeling he's, playing across from Khalil Mack. I think that's gonna help. See, defensive rookies of the year, they don't ever put up like the massive numbers that like an offensive rookie of the year could put up. It's more about like how big their impact is and for who they are that early in their career. I could see him getting like 6.5, 7 sacks. Jonathan Anderson won it last year with like 6 sacks. But like also anybody would tell you that while it's great to sack the quarterback and sacks get you paid, it's really the pressures that you like. That's what like real coaches look at, like real analytics guys will tell you that too. So I could see him having a big year, even if the sack total isn't wildly big. And I think he's going to be a help to the Chargers big time.
Yeah, I could see that. Like I think or you mean the Rams?
Or the Rams, sorry,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm
Obviously
gonna go
LA, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna go with a player that same position, but I'm gonna go with Dallas Turner from the Vikings. I think he's poised to have a big season. I think they're gonna rely on him a lot. And I think from everything I've understood, he's been a pretty big contributor. I also considered Quinyon Mitchell for the Eagles. And Terrion Arnold for the Lions, because I think they're going to play really important roles. But it's just so tough because like you don't know, like scheme depends a lot on that, and then they have to put up huge numbers, or be in the limelight, kind of like Sauce Gardner. So I think there's a lot that goes into that. But I like Dallas Turner for the Vikings. I watched him in the preseason the other day. He was pretty impressive, but that's kind of an award that like that's really hard to pick.
It's very hard.
Yeah. Because you don't know like how these like Lucas Van Ness was drafted by the Packers last year, and he didn't even play like all that much. He was a rotational player, which a lot of pass rushers
are. Yeah.
But pass rushers usually win the award. So you got to pick the right guy that plays right away. So I think both of the guys we picked are going to be starters though. So and they're first round picks generally. And then coach of the year.
I actually didn't think about that. Let me go back to my standings real quick. What
I got my pick. My pick's easy.
Oh, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. If they get the Chargers back from the dumps and AFC. Granted, I guess they'll have already voted on it before my playoff run in theory, but I think Jim Harbaugh is going to make a great case for Coach of the Year this year.
Yeah, I'll go with Raheem Morris. I'm just
that's a good one too.
I'm trying hard to not pick the Bears for anything. So I didn't pick Caleb. If the Bears got to the playoffs, Eberflus, of course, would be a favorite to win it. But I'm just gonna go with Raheem Morris because I mean to take a team that's been 7-10 3 straight years in a row, and I know who his quarterback will likely be, and obviously that's a big help, to turn around a team, potentially more of a help than say who the head coach is. But Raheem Morris wasn't bad his first go around. He had some success early on. I think he's gonna be better the second time around. I think they'll give him the award.
Okay. Well, I like that. Well, that does it for all of our pre-season predictions. We've done all 8 divisions, and then we did like kind of the superlatives and our Super Bowl predictions. So
Yeah.
we are officially ready for the season. I think both Neil and I feel prepared. So we're going to do a history episode next week, and then we're going to start gearing up. Are we taking off next week?
I think the way we were going to do it was we could do the history episode. Now, you know what? We were going to do like a training camp, like kind of storylines episode or like flash preseason. We'll fit one history episode in between because then the following week it's game week, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So, every Wednesday night, we're going to do a show just so you guys know. Well, the 7 of you that watch / listen,
we'll go viral one day.
Yeah, one day. We're actually going to go to the Super Bowl unannounced, uninvited this year.
Not get arrested.
Yeah, not get arrested. We're going to be at Media Day. So every Wednesday, we're going to preview. Well, first of all, we're going to go over 3 big storylines from the previous week. Obviously, the first Wednesday, there's not going to be any. Steven froze again, but I'll just keep talking. 3 storylines from the previous week. We're going to call that settling for 3, like a team settles for 3 when going for it on 4th down is not worth it for them. So we're going to go over 3 storylines, and then we'll go straight into our weekly predictions for the upcoming week. And that's how our Wednesday night shows are going to go. Just with time allocation, I don't think we have enough of from our own personal lives to fit in 2 shows every week, a preview and a review show. So we're just going to try to squeeze it all into one night. And Steven is still frozen. He looks like he's going to throw up in his still picture. Oh, and it's just me now. I can't end the show because I'm not the host of the show. So I'm just going to keep talking. This is very awkward. I'm actually almost going to wait for Steven to give me a call because he should be giving me a call any few minutes now. How about Hard Knocks? The Bears have been quite interesting. But some people are complaining that maybe the Bears, they were talking about on sports radio in Chicago here today, that the Bears may be not releasing all the things that they want out there. Like, they're not giving the big personalities besides, say, Caleb as much limelight because, George and I was going to say Ted, but Ted's no longer there. George and Kevin Warren are so afraid of, how they look on the outside. But that's the Bears for you. Oh, here he is.
My internet just went like, nope, we're not doing this anymore.
I improvised so well.
Yeah, I looked at YouTube. I was like, are we still live or not? I don't know. But anyway, we'll have a lot of good content during the season, assuming my internet doesn't go out again. But yeah, we'll have an episode every Wednesday, kind of going over the week preview. And then during the season, we'll basically go over the previous week, kind of have some talking points, and then kind of go through the season and maybe a history podcast somewhere in between there. So with that, let's end the stream before I crash again. So
perfect.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you next week.